Hello, and welcome to this week's topic and introduction to social sciences, education, and learning. My name is Brian Mack, and I'll be presenting the following prompt. Why do some parents choose to homeschool their children? So, today we'll be introducing what homeschooling is. We'll be talking about how to do this approach in Ontario, reasons why someone may opt to be homeschooled, the benefits and challenges of homeschooling, resources and extracurricular activities that may bridge in the gaps of social interactions. And we'll also look at some statistics in North America and close off with some thought questions for you to think about. I would like to start with a quote by Charlotte Mason. And she says, education is an atmosphere, a discipline, and a life. And basically, what she is saying here is that education does not need to be in a traditional school environment with a teacher, classroom environment for a child to necessarily excel and learn, but it's the educational values that really matters. So if it means it's within a home where it matters more about who is teaching, what is taught, as well as why certain things or skills are taught. Those are the things that kind of define what a quality of education is. So, homeschool, what is it? So, homeschool in Europe is referred to as elective home education. And here, as name implies, homeschooling just means that you are doing your educational criteria at home and other than in a place of a public school classroom setting. So countries with the highest rates of homeschool includes Canada, United States of America, United Kingdom, as well as Australia. So we can see the prominence of homeschool takes place in North America. So while homeschool actually have been for decades, since 1940s, been around, we see that the percentage of families homeschooling their children actually steadily increasing. And since the COVID-19 pandemic have actually doubled. In the United States, research have also found that African Americans have spiked 5 times the amount to 16.1% compared to the 3.3 in 2020 in current date. So for a long while, homeschoolers were actually stigmatized as a strange practice conducted by fringes of society. And this was seen as an attempt to reform education. But as the years gone by, homeschool is no longer a new idea. It was more widely accepted by families who were opting for education that may be driven by religion, methodological teachings, as well as building stronger family relationships and or bonds. So how does this work in Ontario? So annually, you need to have a letter of intent, and parents are required just so that the school board is aware, as well as to make sure that they are keeping a tally of how many students are going into their classrooms, just to make sure the teacher, the class ratios are okay. But in addition to that, just because a student is homeschooled, a student can actually re-enter the school system at any point or withdraw. When the student does re-enter the system, the school teacher may conduct an assessment to ensure that the student is appropriate for the grade that they're enrolling in. Although homeschoolers are able to design their own curriculum, Ontario specifically actually posts their curriculum guidelines under the Ministry of Education website, just so that the parents who are teaching or parents who are hiring tutors that are formulating a curriculum at home can actually follow closely to what other students are learning in the public classroom setting. So, simply put, the process of homeschooling is actually fairly easy as there's no strict laws or requirements to hinder or discourage any parents from doing so. So, why would homeschool be considered? First off, disability might be a reason. So, for parents whose child have a learning disability or physical disability, the environments of being at home can be their ideal place, and the pace of learning can be tailored due to the flexibility of time. In addition to that, it offers a one-on-one ratio. Uh, Work schedule for parents is another reason. School hours can be flexible, can go into the weekends. Parents can, um, arrange for a wide variety and break up the learning. So, for example, this is actually might be a unique kind of example where if parents are shift workers, say they are in emergency services, physicians, they are nurses, they might be working around the clock, which makes dropping off their child at school or pick up times difficult to meet. So this would kind of be a positive for people who might be doing shift work. Another reason might be culture and religion. So, some parents may choose to homeschool their children to incorporate cultural and religious lessons into their curriculum. So, immigrants, especially in a multicultural nation like Canada, may find that there's a gap in cultural responsiveness in educators and a lack of cultural specific traits that is relevant for maybe certain families. So parents actually gets to design and kind of do a top-down approach to what they want their children to learn from their own culture. And lastly is safety. What this entails is that homeschool students can eliminate the risk of bullying, peer pressure, and even disruption such as fire alarms and bomb threats from just having classmates. So kind of eliminates any of those distractions or any of those social anxious kind of topics. So the major benefits of homeschooling is family bonding. Families can find an improved relationship with their children through interaction of education. Families can teach and promote family values and activities as a means to create a positive learning environment. So the challenges for homeschoolers. Literacy. So, if a parent is not English as their first language, or is, or isn't quite strong at math, they might be disadvantaged when it comes to like literacy or certain skills. So, being deficient in English, for example, can translate to challenges in university or finding a career that is written heavy as a skill. So, parents would need to actually bridge the gap by finding the appropriate help that they can for literacy. Parents, this kind of emphasizes the need for them to recognize their strengths and weaknesses of what they can and should not teach. Social skills. Like we saw with the pandemic, students were learning remotely. There was some adjustments, and we found that um, it was challenging for students to return back to the public where they're engaging with public. And this is what we kind of see that children homeschooled for the majority of kindergarten to grade 12 actually had trouble navigating through society. They also found that there was a lower rates of getting married, as well as a lower satisfaction in life due to the lack of social skills. Other things, diversity. Students may be limited to exposure of diverse perspective and cultures when they're just learning about maybe perhaps one at home. So that kind of puts them at a disadvantage when they are going to lack a little bit of cultural diversity in experience as well as social experiences. Competitive in nature. Students may not understand what marks is, earning grades and competing in a friendly way with classmates to kind of motivate each other to do better and understand concepts um, that that environment isn't there for homeschoolers. And lastly is maintaining commitments. Um, Parents who have busy lifestyles, busy like work and routine shouldn't be doing this just because you need to be committed to make sure that homeschooling is in place and that we're not postponing and kind of procrastinating uh, teaching our children. Uh, so if it's something that we are doing, it has to be a commitment for all parents to kind of follow through on. So quick statistics, homeschoolers and traditional students had been found with similar self-esteem, had lower depression rates and higher life success for homeschoolers. 41% of homeschool students are racial or ethnic minorities. 5% of Canadians are homeschooled. 98% of homeschool child participates in 5 extracurricular activities per week. And 25% of homeschoolers are there because of safety concerns. And that was a statistics from the States. And while a combined 21% for parents to accommodate disability or religious curriculums of their choosing. So we kind of took a look at some statistics and kind of understand what homeschooling is and the pros and cons. Here are some. Here are 3 questions for you to kind of put some thought into when it comes to homeschooling for your own considerations. 1. What are some ways for parents to incorporate cultural diversity in their homeschool curriculum? 2. What kind of social extracurricular activities do you think can bridge the gap of social isolation? And the third one, do you think technology and online methods change the homeschool approach? And would this make things better or worse? I'd like to thank you for your attention in listening to my presentation. I hope you had something to take home with you to kind of think about and enjoy the rest of the semester.